Hello, County of Fortune, a new game from the creators of Nebuchadnezzar. That was also a city builder, but it was set a few years earlier than County of Fortune. In this medieval city builder, there is a Steam demo. We are live on Twitch, mid-June 2026. The Steam demo has just been released. I'll give you the link on YouTube in the description right below. And I expect that the game will also be available on Games Planet very soon. At release, probably with a Call of Community coupon code from me for a cheaper purchase. I hope that works out. That means I definitely want to edit that afterwards as soon as all the data and links are available. What is County of Fortune about? Normally you know city builders as games where you build a city. A settlement, that takes care of the goods just like a settlement does. Maybe you can do long distance trading with some other settlement, but you don't actually see it yourself. Maybe on a big overview map, but you can't enter it. You definitely can't control them. It works differently here. We have an entire county to take care of right from the start, and that's pretty cool. And we'll set up a networked village there, some of which we can specialize. And then we'll have individual regions made up of several villages. Then we'll also found new regions with new villages and so on. And at the start of the game, there's a good tutorial that introduces you. That's included as well. I don't think you can even turn it off. You'll experience that again in a moment. At the beginning, we also get the backstory, and I hope you have a lot of fun with that. There's a demo map to start with here. This is the one right here. And that's how it all begins here. An old servant leads you to the throne room. Who may I announce to the king? We can choose. We can be a man or a woman. We can have portraits rolled at random. Or we can simply choose a portrait using the arrow keys. Let me see if I can find someone who looks similar to B. With a lot of imagination, but you really need a lot of imagination for that. Well, none of them look like WB. Let's use a lot of imagination. Let's try a female portrait. We'll roll the dice and choose her here, Thomasina Dunbar. You know, Isabel with a Y. Elizabeth, this is Betty. We'll take Elizabeth. Elizabeth, and with German names, we could say Elizabeth Jaeger. Who else is up? They have Elizabeth. Oh, now English names are coming in again. So with the major noble houses that are in the game, they already have English names anyway. So Elizabeth works in both German and English. We can easily have one. And take one. Maybe we can choose a more German last name that also works in English. With a lot of imagination. We'll go with Elizabeth Cornwell. Yes. And for origin, we can choose from 3 bonuses and pick one like that. Either the first 3 farms we build already have full grain right away, or that we have additional free construction points in a region. That means building the first buildings goes a bit faster. And personally, I think this is the coolest based on my experience, Diplomat. We have several noble houses in the game, each of which we ourselves lead a noble house, and there are other noble houses that are also in our region. Each of our villages, which we command or are subordinate to, and having good relationships with them is beneficial, because then you can, for example, trick mayors more easily. You can choose new ones. I'll pick Diplomat. Elizabeth Cornwell is a diplomat. For the city request, they're asking for Steffi. That's where the tennis manager fans come in, but I don't want to overdo it. At some point it wears off. We're starting. Yeah, well, I remember you. Remind me again. Which house are you from? And did you want to get us a fancy coat of arms first? That's how it always goes. Yeah, we can take something like that. Just a cross, a crossbar, and a fancy name. Let's see if we can find one. The Lacey. Let's take the name Becker as a reminder of our Steffi from Tennis Manager. Works in German and English, yeah. We come from the Becker family. But please, spell Becker with a C, not an A. Thank you, Lady Elizabeth of the House of Becker. You may enter, the king is expecting you. Greetings, I did not summon you lightly. Believe me, ruling is not an easy task when you wish prosperity even for the poorest. In these past years it seemed almost impossible. Come, I want to show you something. Look, my kingdom, once it flourished, now it groans under the weight of its own daily life. And how could it be any different when our lands can no longer nourish all those who live in them? For many years I searched for a way to bring them prosperity, but I found none. But now, look to the horizon. Do you see that land beyond our borders? That forbidden land in the north, uninhabited for centuries, is to be our salvation. By divine command, it is to be annexed to the kingdom, and you are to govern this land in my name. Safe travels, and now go. There is much to do there. Demo. The game is still in development and the developers would like, which is understandable, for you to add it to your wish list if you're interested. It's not too hard. That's what the link under the video is for, or the link pinned here on Twitch, to add the developers to your wish list. Here we are. At the beginning, the tutorial, I'll show you roughly how big a map is. Big, very, very big, with a river that runs along here. The map is always the same in the demo. I assume that there will be several different ones in the game. For now, just one here. You can move it in the usual ways with WASD with the mouse wheel. Use the mouse wheel to zoom and QE to rotate. And we'll start with what you can see down here on the bottom left behind me. I'll move myself a bit further to the left. That you click on a new settlement there. That's why if you zoom in a little, you can see that the map is made up of many small squares. Now we choose a starting building, and it is recommended that we start with a crop farm so that we have food. Up here you can choose, so the settlement we start with only has one production building at first. That's possible. Anything is possible, yes. Specifically level 1 production buildings. The settlement can be upgraded later to a level 2 settlement. Then they get a new population group as well. You can upgrade them 3 times. 4 times, always wealthier citizens living there. And they don't push out the old residents like in Anno, but rather they complement them, and each level has its own needs. Fancier and fancier food and more exquisite goods. Thanks to Nilford for the 16th subscription on Twitch. Hello. We'll start with something simple and see how it goes. We're also being recommended the locations. The ones outlined in white, which are being recommended to us. And I'll start right here in the front, And if you pick something like Kohlhoff, for example, you can see where cabbage grows. It only grows right here in the front. Lentils, on the other hand, mostly up top, a little bit here. You can grow beets here, for example, buckwheat. I love buckwheat. We can start with buckwheat here, or if you go with beets, of course, here as well, it works really well by the river. Let's go with buckwheat. But that would also work, but not here. It only grows further up. Peas also grow further up. Let's start with the buckwheat now. Buckwheat again. And a name was chosen. It cancels when you right click. And I have the experience from playing it myself. I've played quite far already, not completely, but pretty far. I very quickly found it very pleasant to name the villages in such a way that we also know which goods we start with there. This here could be, for example, this one. For example, you could call it Buckwheat Farm. Or is it because this is the palace city we're starting with? Only the buckwheat lord who resides here. The lordship is here. And that looks pretty nice. Look how it comes together here. The buildings are placed automatically. You can then lay out roads manually and so on. And if we take a look inside the town, you'll see 4 tabs here: needs, buildings, population, products. Under needs, there are 2 important things: food and equipment. We'll take care of that in a moment. But the first step is always, to get things running at all, you have to choose a mayor. Yes. You always get 3 that are randomly assigned to you. Let's see if we have one who gives us a bonus. Here, this one fits perfectly. Fulco Fairfax. He's even from our house, from the House of Becker. We have a very good relationship with him. Relations 100 with everyone. Here we would have a bonus for others, but not for buckwheat. Here is a bonus on soaps and candles. Here, let's say Buchwalsen is really delicious, so if you haven't tried it yet, you can buy something like Buchwalsen bread, for example. In organic stores, and it tastes pleasantly nutty. I think buckwheat isn't even a grain. It's often considered or referred to as a grain, but I don't think it is one. So, strictly speaking, biologists would say that it's not one. Count Lowen bought some buckwheat today. Count, those are really tiny grains. We're taking Fulco Fair away. Fox, there's the colleague. I'll pause time up there. And now we're being told to take a look at how efficiency works. I can explain that to you as well. And if we switch to buildings here, that's the second tab. This is the buckwheat farm that we built. You can see an efficiency value here, and it's really low. And various things are crucial for efficiency. Mayor bonus, we have a mayor who helps us. We also have buckwheat workers and buckwheat fields, that helps too. We have the right soil fertility, that helps too. And what is meant by food demand there is simply providing the local citizens with food. If the citizens are hungry, then the farmers on the farms are also not as productive. And we can do that. Cindy just added that buckwheat belongs to the knotweed family, thank you. And, but we can make sure of that by saying, under needs, here are various recipes for delicious food. Look here, cabbage soup, delicious. Who doesn't like cabbage soup? Well, maybe don't necessarily smell it, but they're supposed to be hearty. Sour lentils, yeah, delicious, tasty. Steckholz, boiled turnips. Really great. Bean puree. Yeah, something for the fancy folks. Buckwheat flatbread, that's really tasty. We'll make that too. We'll set that as the recipe. We can also make that ourselves on site. Let's advance time a bit, and here the building's efficiency immediately increases because it's instantly available, of course. Buckwheat is being produced, that's why the population is immediately supplied with buckwheat flatbread. And that's how much we produce per year, 81.1 something per year. So now we're being told this here is a single settlement, but if you click on the settlement, you see a circle around it. The circle will grow over time, and a group of settlements that are next to each other is called a region by the game. They must be connected so we can build more villages. They just have to be close enough to the starting settlement, because the starting settlement is basically the capital, our main city. Our capital. And what should we do? Open the region window. I think it's in the top left. There are different windows. Open the codex. That's the library. Trade. You can trade later. Noble houses. Kulturen. Cultures. Settlement window. That's what we just had. We'll take a look at the region in a moment. The penalty window and the king's window. Let's start with the region window. You can also press R or select it at the top. And now the border changes a bit and shows that this is the region here. Now, open the kingdom window. Exactly. And here you can see everything that's produced locally. Carpenter points are always automatically built as well. You get a few of those for free, but not very many, and you'll need them later for constructing buildings. Carpenter points are generated from wood. We'll take care of that in a moment. And it's recommended to claim a stone deposit. We won't build that in the game for a while. But from the second region onward, we build stones. Specifically from the moment you upgrade your first settlement to level 2. And there's a stone deposit nearby. Take a look here. We can build a stone settlement there. A quarry. And we'll place it so that maybe another one will fit next to it. There are still two next to each other. One goes here, one goes here. That should work, right? The settlement can't be demolished now, so we need to think carefully. Alright, that should work. This is the settlement. We'll come up with a fitting name again. Since that's stone, we'll stop them again. I would say that we should name the settlement Stonehenge, or suggest German names. Steinstraße. The settlement is called Steinstraße. Ah, that's kind of... Then you always just end up with alliterative names, right? We could also say instead of Steinstraße, Stein... I think because the citizens have to carry heavy things all the time, they're often in a bad mood. Carrying stones all day. That's why this place is called Steingroll. People are just in a bad mood. Felsfleur is nice too. Buchwalzenherren and Mr. Herren. That's what I wanted to call it. Buchwalzenherr and Steingroll. So now we also need a mayor here. Let's see, I hope we find one who's a good fit for the quarry and benefits from it. I even have a penalty for quarries. Great. I'm thrilled. Why should we take him? None of that helps us. So we don't have anyone who really fits. Then let's go with Sigmund Yates. Because then I think it also follows another noble house, right? Which noble house is at the front? Our own. The noble houses are meant to balance each other's power. Let's take this one, because these bonuses here, soap making and candle making, will only come much later. And maybe you can even use that later on. So, and then we should also build a wood supply settlement. I'm happy to do that too, yes. We could place a wood supply camp right here. That works great too. Let's give it a name, and we need a mayor. Let's call it Wood, who is also their Holzhack. And we have a nice mayor, but again, just really dumb ones. He gives a penalty for everything possible. How dumb is that? So far, we haven't had any one of the green ones yet. But we still need a plant farm settlement. That one fits the plant farm well. We already have buckwheat. Let's do the other settlement first. We could go with beets. She has a beet bonus there, and beets fit well. Does that fit here? Yes. That's where the beet settlement goes. The settlement is called Rubschen. Rubenzahl, also very nice. An idea from Gruncy, thank you. Holzhack, Rubenzahl. Would you prefer Holzmichel or Holzhack for the settlement up here? Quick answer. Holzmichel or Holzhack, which do you prefer? Just write it in the chat. Would you like Holzmichel or Holzhack? And here as the mayor, we can now take those with the bonus for turnips. And now we have one from each settlement. Woodworm? Well, most people would like to have Michelle, Wood, Holzmichel, Buckwheat Lord, Rubenzahl, Steingroll. Now I still need a mayor here. Now we have a new one here. Look here. He helps with fishing. We can have several here in one place later. We could still produce some goods, and here we could keep fishing. That's actually cool. Do you guys want to take that one? Let's take Theobald Grimshaw once. Very nice. And what you're seeing now is who are making their own, building their own little houses. But we still have to connect them with roads so that we can transport the products made there back and forth. The stone is built automatically. The wood is automatically built in with low efficiency because we hardly have any food. And in the Rubenzahl, because beets are produced, houses that we We still need to set it so that the beet soup, the cooked beets, that the people on site are allowed to use them. And now we're building roads. We're building them here as well. That normally costs construction points, but we have free points. Look up here. We start with 200 free construction points in the region, and 10 are added each year. I'll build us a road. I'm building the roads so that they're all connected to each other. You always build the roads starting from the marketplace. For example, you can build them like this, or we can hold down Shift. Then it'll suggest a diagonal one. Or you can manually place these individually. Just like this. Then we'll drag from here to here. Oops, why isn't that working? There's a small spot of red at the front. Right here. Then we'll connect Holzmichel as well. The distances are shorter now. A direct connection. There. Then another connection down here. Then both could be connected. Just up to here. It's red up ahead, we have to be careful. But you can do it like this. Just like this. That looks pretty, doesn't it? Then we can get to work. You can upgrade roads later as well, but maintaining upgraded roads is an expensive matter. So, and now the game is running again. And now we need, oh right. Now the demo tells us to please click on a road window and take a look at the maintenance. Take a look here. Overall speed is very low. We don't have a settlement yet that produces construction points. That would be responsible for the maintenance of the settlement. We need to handle that, which is why. And why this is so low, I don't really know. Sometimes it should be a bit more. That was really not much. Maybe that was due to maintenance, because that's missing. And what I think is cool about the tooltip is that when there's a lot of traffic on the road, it gradually gets wider. When there's little traffic, or rather too little traffic, it gradually gets narrower and disappears again. I find that very, very nice. Alright, we actually read through both of these here, didn't we? Read through the maintenance, now we did. Now let's continue. And now we're supposed to arrange the wood for the situation so that they can send food to each other. That means we're saying they should also send food to each other. But first, the wood supplier, Michelle, gets buckwheat flatbread, please. No, first we boost both of them so they produce a lot. Because the production of beets is currently at 91%. We'll also set up the buckwheat flatbread. Right here. We'll also set up the beets right here. I'll let that run for a bit. And now traders are walking through here. Take a look. Nice and slow, but you can also suddenly increase the speed. And now he's bringing the necessary goods for making the recipes up here and vice versa. We'll get a trader going in a moment as well. And graphically, I think it looks really, really nice. Here comes the trader. You'll soon see the exclamation mark vanish as the buckwheat arrives. There he is. And he in turn has rutabagas with him now. Everything runs fully automatically. There's no fiddly micromanagement where you have to set all the routes manually. That comes later, but only in the bigger overall context. Now he's bringing the rutabagas here. Then everything is great. Great. Both are running. Someone in the chat mentioned the free building points, but I already showed them earlier. They're right here in the front. You need to supplement those with carpenter points soon, and you produce them with a carpenter in a carpenter village. Carpenter guilds. But now we want to do a few other things first. First, we want to make sure we're producing enough wood here so that the building works well. At the moment, the efficiency is low. Then we'll also produce both goods. Buckwheat, flatbread, and cooked turnips. The merchants will bring them over right away. These are the merchants, and they'll start immediately. And what else are we supposed to do now? I'll leave out stone rolling for now. That's not so important at the moment. We need another settlement with plant farms. And another crop. The Carpenters Guild should have enough efficiency. We will deliver various food recipes there and produce a few carpentry points. I like doing that. First, we'll take yet another settlement with plants. We could also make one that needs to be built higher up, like here. Chickpea farm, you can only build that down below. That's a chickpea farm. Or you can only grow oats up top. Cabbage doesn't work here, and lentils don't work well either. And here we have beans, could be soil. We could stay down and do soil again. We could place it here. One-time soil. Yes, yes. That's red. We have to wait until it turns green. Is a bridge being built here? I don't know myself. I hope so. Let's test it out to see if bridge building works here. I'll try to build a road. No, that's not possible. We have to go around, but it's annoying. Could we build a new bridge? There's already one after all. Like this. Understood. Do we want a bridge? Do we even want it? Are we really building a bridge that'll be costly to maintain if something happens? A farmer from Rubitzal discovers that 2 of his goats disappeared during the night. Hoofprints in the damp soil lead away across the fields and disappear somewhere near the lands of Steingrollen. By noon, the story had spread throughout the village, and the name of the neighbouring settlement is now spoken in a colder tone than before. Did the Steingrollers steal goats? We have to diss either one county or the other a little bit. That's the Grofener family, that's the Berkeley family. They have 2 settlements. Reduces resistance to cultural conversion. Honestly, I don't know yet what that means. I don't want to lessen ties with the noble house. Let's do this one. And please put an end to the rumours. Potanta thinks maybe you should send food to Steingroll after all, WB. There's something to that, of course. I can't disagree. So we'll add another mayor here as well. For, what did we have? Beans, right? A bean mayor, yeah. None of them are helping. Yeah. How many do we have from each family so far? We have 1 red, 2 green, 1 blue, so I'd rather not have another green. Yeah, so should we leave those out? These are ours, those are the bakers. Affected buildings, meaning they don't give a bonus, but rather a penalty for these things, which we simply don't have to build here. Then we've got that one out of the way. After that, a better one will be available to choose from. You can replace the mayors later on as well, but that always leads to a drastic penalty to your relationship with that family. I wouldn't want to do that. And what name should we give them? There's Bohnenleutern. Who has that name? What about Stinkerig? Because people have a reputation. Yeah, the chat is going in a similar direction. Fürstshausen and Pupserei. Tension works too. What about Stinkerig? No, man, we only accept German names. I'll stick with Stinky for now. It's kind of, you don't really know exactly what it means. No better suggestions have come in yet either. We're building another road connection. I'll run it below since villagers will be there anyway. Whoops. Just like that. Just like that. Once here, because the village will be built here later. Of course, the beans are eaten on site. Living mashed potatoes. And we also get food from the other villages. And we have maximum efficiency when it comes to food production. And we also store the beans here. And up here in the front, I'll turn up the speed a bit. You can see how they're racing along here. It's all connected. Very nice. And now let's check the wood stuff back here again. Wood production to the maximum. That means we'll also put the bean puree here. And now we need to place a settlement for the Carpenters Guild somewhere. Up there. Its placement doesn't really matter. And I'll just put it near the wood, because they're getting a wood delivery. You could do it like that, for example. A fertilizer works here too. but the carpentry points get distributed everywhere from a central hub. I'll do it here. I'm also making a mayor, preferably one who helps with carpentry. We can build cattle and sheep farms later. That doesn't help now, but we could do it. Haven't we already had 2 female mayors from there? 2 mayors? 2 red ones, 2 green ones. A blue one would be better, but we can manage. We'll build more cities anyway. What about the blue one, the white and blue one? We can do that too. Put that in here. They should get the carpentry stuff. That means we push the bean puree. The people get the cooked beets. And they get the buchwalds and flags. However, that only works if there's a road. That's the one. The good stuff is already coming over. Does that affect the carpenter's shop if he has a penalty on woodworking? No. Oh, can you see the mayor's bonus here? Unfortunately not. That was some other kind of wooden stuff. I think that was the kind of wood you use for the Holzmichel, but not the carpentry stuff. And they were supposed to get the wood now. I think they were supposed to get wood delivered from here. I think that works automatically. Look, that's where the wood is delivered. Logs are being delivered. The roads are still narrow and will widen over time. Maybe we'll arrive. Wonderful. And we continue with the next step here in the tutorial. We are supposed to... What? Settlement overview. What are the settlement overviews? Tab. When you press tab, you can see what is being produced where and which penalties. That doesn't matter. What bonuses the mayors provide. Later you might say, hey, let's place a fisherman here. We'll also make a good name up here in front. Since merchants only transport products automatically within a region, it's important to keep all products in a positive balance. So always make sure enough is being produced. First, let's give this one a different name. This is a... It could be, for example, Zimmerdorf. Then we understood it right away. Yes. Yes. And now we're supposed to open the region window. That was the one up here. And switch to the products tab. That's this one. Here we can check if everything is mostly positive, indicating a positive balance. Stones are in the positive, logs are in the positive, beans are just barely in the positive. Now we have enough points. Stones, yes. At the moment we're producing few stones because we're barely supplying the settlement with food, but we only need stones for second-tier buildings. And that comes much later. Seller done it, whatever that is. Now we're supposed to... Yeah, exactly. Unlock a new building slot in a settlement. I'll show you using our capital as an example. Here are the building sites. These are the 4 categories of citizens, of people, of classes: peasants, citizens, craftsmen, and patricians. And you unlock them by increasing the settlement level up here. And within a class you can unlock more by providing more equipment here. If you provide this equipment, you can also build more. So this here in front, the food variety, ensures that the efficiency of the buildings is higher. And the more equipment you get, the more buildings you can construct. That's how it works. So now we want to produce equipment. That means we're building wooden chests and wool tunics somewhere. For that, we're building new settlements because all the existing settlements only have 1 slot. That means we're building 1 slot for wooden chests and 1 slot for wool tunics. 1 settlement each. Wooden chests are the easiest. Or already start producing wood. Yes, wooden chest workshop. For example, we can go here. A nice name, please. Yes, yes. Borcher are barrel makers, Jan. I don't think that fits very well. Keep sending name suggestions. As soon as I find one that I like better than my own, I'll pick it. Give the place a name as an alternative to Traudish, Trudish. Interesting idea from Raina. Raina says that if you replace one with a mayor from the same family, it wouldn't be a disadvantage and we would have a good one who would work well for carpentry workshops. And he would also be from the family of the Blue Whites. We'll check that out. No. I thought, no, we have a wooden chest workshop bonus here. We can already do that here already. That helps us. But that's from our family. Brewery, bakery, watermill. None of those are from those things, Raina. Let's take the mayor here. What is that? It's called Green Wooden Chest Workshop. Should help, yeah. Now we're making a road connection again, and for the production of it we probably need round wood. Exactly. The wood is delivered from up here. There was a connection along here. And the wood is transported like this. I think that's quite realistic. We could build an extra connection here, but I would wait a moment until we've placed the other villages. Trudering, also very nice, yes. I'm waiting for something prettier than Trudished, then I'll gladly take it. So we did it. And now we're producing up here. We can also use the wooden chests on site. No, first we have to deliver the food here so it actually works properly. The license fee is really low. I'm putting the bean puree and the cooked beets back on. And the buckwheat flatbread. And we'll let that get started for now. Yes?